The EPCHS, heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the EPCHS.com.
And belly on up to the 9-foot homemade oak bar. Pour yourself a cold one. This is the EP Podcast. 30 minutes of good for Evergreen Park and the surrounding area, and it is all brought to you by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. They are dedicated to supporting this area with great banking tools and friendly service. They are a true community bank that provides this neighborhood with customized financial solutions like Total Access Checking. That's an account with free ATMs nationwide. Wherever you're at, whatever fee they're charging you, they pay that fee back. It's free. Plus, when you open up a Total Access checking account today, you get a $300 bonus. Money in the bank. You can use that for the high gas prices. Open online at bankevergreenpark.com/Total Access/EP. $100 required to open. Requirements to qualify. Must use link to apply. Member FDIC. Joining us back down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar. I love it whenever she stops by because she's open. She answers my questions. And I have questions today for Mayor Kelly Burke. How are you, Mayor?
I'm great, Chris. Thanks for having me back.
I appreciate you coming on the show. So I'm going to jump into one thing, which is the main reason why I reached out to you. And then I know that the village has all kinds of things coming up, and I'm getting ready for the 4th of July parade and very excited to be sitting there with the reviewing stand and doing the broadcast and watching the floats go by, and I'm pumped up about it. But before we get into any of that, I got a flyer in my mailbox. And, you know, this happens from time to time. You'll get something that gets dropped off in your house and you read what it says and you go, what the heck is going on? And I figured rather than do that, I'd rather have you in to kind of explain it. So what it looks like is happening is the activity center at 98th, and that technically that address is 98th and Kedzie there, right? Or what do they call that address?
3220 to 3240. So it's the former church, United by Faith Church, and then that whole property, which is bounded by the activity center, and then that big parking lot in the middle.
Okay, so that area there, and I vote there. That's what's funny about it. I've been voting there. I don't know where I'm voting after this happens. Okay, I'm going to need a new polling place.
We're going to find you one.
All right, good. The village on the 2nd of May, before a regular board of trustee meeting, called a zoning board meeting, which is not a thing that normally happens, but you call this meeting and you look to rezone it for the purpose of selling it to a developer to put in a development there that would be basically townhouses. Take me through what the plan is right now. What was that meeting about?
Sure. So that meeting, there was the area is zoned A residential right now, which only allows for single family homes. And under this proposal, which was an application by the developer to have it rezoned to B, which would allow what are called single family attached homes, also known as townhomes. And so it's, if you've ever gotten out of your car and walked through there, it's a pretty expansive piece of property. The developer, which is Flaherty Builders from Mokina, would purchase the whole property and then they would, from the village, and then they would knock down all the buildings on there and then develop it into 16 townhomes that are ranch style. This is intended for the empty nester audience. And they would be, bedroom, master bedroom, and laundry, everything on one level. Some of them, there are 2-level floor plans as well, which would include an extra bedroom up top, basements and screen porches. And because it's an interesting layout on the lot, it's not, perfectly rectangular or perfectly square. There's some pretty generous backyard spaces. Some of them have different sizes, but it's just a pretty big piece of property that you'll be able to nestle these townhouses in there. A lot of planting, a lot of landscaping, a lot of green space. And the developer has indicated that he thinks a price point of about $415,000 for townhouses that are, depending on your model, between 1,700 and 2,100 square feet. So real nice homes for people.
So these are higher end homes. Because the first thing that I always think of when I see a development like this, whenever you see attached homes, I've lived on the West Coast, I've lived East, I've lived here in Chicago, I grew up on the South Side, I've lived in several different areas with a lot of different demographics around the country. And I was a 911 dispatcher. there are developments with attached homes that are beautiful, that, people move in there, retirees. And then there are developments with attached homes that the police are there 3 times a day. So I think that's probably the first thing that maybe somebody would say, what kind of development is it? You're telling me over $400,000 per home that's going to be moving in there.
This would be the beautiful development category.
This is the fancy ones.
Yeah, and there's similar, obviously townhomes are very popular. You hear local, my friends with their parents or local residents saying, they didn't want their house anymore, sick of taking care of it. So they sold it and they moved to a townhome development in Orland, a townhome development in Tinley, a townhome development in Palos Park. So we believe there is a big demand for this, and there are people who don't want their big home and all the cares and worries that go with that, but they don't want to move as far as Orland or Tinley or Palos because their families are here, their kids are here, their grandkids are here, and they'd rather be closer. So it's 16. So we do believe there is a market for, it's a fairly small percentage of residential real estate that transfers every year.
There's not a lot of real estate. We had Laura Kelly on here, I want to say a little over a month ago. You can go back and listen to that show on demand. And she was the highest by volume real estate dealer of the last year. And she came on and talked about Evergreen Park real estate for a half hour on this show. You can listen to it anytime you want to. Like I said, she talked about how right now there's so much demand to get into this area that you almost don't even need to fix up your house as much as you used to. Like you could basically sell it as is and get a high-end price because people want to get into Evergreen Park.
And Flaherty Builders did quite a bit of market research and analysis when they were coming up with, whether this was a feasible project at that price point. And we've had anecdotal feedback from local realtors that they believe that there's a need for it and a market for it. And, specifically that they have clients who kind of want to get rid of the big house, but they don't feel like there's anywhere close enough for them to move. And that those types of folks would be, really interested in this type of development. And fairly close by, there's a nice development. It's a little smaller than what this would be. Land-wise, it's a lot smaller, and unit-wise, it's a little smaller. But at 111th in California, it backs up to the cemetery. And so the layout there in terms of how the buildings are kind of staggered and set back, and
it looks similar. You have that set up over there. It sounds like they've got a high price point as to what they want to sell it for. The complaint that I got dropped off at my house, one seemed to be that they thought it was being rushed through. Explain to people how you notify those in the area about a meeting to rezone and do this project, and where did the idea possibly come from that they didn't think that they had notification for it?
So when there's an application for a zoning change, so the application is initiated by the person seeking, or the company or the enterprise seeking the zoning change. So that would have been Flaherty Builders applied for the zoning change. The requirement is that notice goes out to property owners within 250 feet. That's the legal requirement. Evergreen Park always goes further than that. Letters were sent out.
And obviously people knew about it because you had 60 or so people that were in the meeting that you were at.
And people told their neighbors, and kind of how it goes. So that's the first step. So we had the meeting on May 2nd. It went on, maybe for about an hour and a half.
That's a solid meeting time right there as we sit here at the 9-foot Homemade Oak Bar and talk with Mayor Kelly Burke. After a meeting like that, you may want to go get some food. The absolute best and authentic Mexican-American food you can find is just outside of Evergreen Park at Americano's Restaurant. It is just north of 111th and Western. Incredible ceviche, tasty empanadas, revolutionary tortas, and the best selection of gourmet tacos that you can mix and match, from steak to brisket. Their pork belly taco, maybe the best taco you can get in the entirety of the South Side. Big, beautiful bar, extensive selection of tequilas, whiskeys, beers, and wines, and their Cadillac margarita has all premium and fresh squeezed ingredients. Get in there for lunch, date night, bring the whole family anytime. Check it all out at americanosrestaurant.com and visit them today, 11060 Southwestern Avenue. What was the main concern? Like, what was the biggest worry that you heard at the meeting? Because you guys tabled it, and I know that you wanted to make sure that everybody who had a concern about this project, that you were able to address those concerns, which I was impressed by. When I called up and said I would love to talk to the mayor about this, I was told she will talk to you as soon as she is done talking to each one of those people individually. Like I don't know if any other mayor would have reached out to everybody that had a problem individually and said, let's talk about your problem.
So the audio from the meeting itself, just like all the audio for all our village board meetings, is on our website. So if anybody wants to listen in verbatim for what was said, feel free. It was new to people. So trying to wrap their head around, what exactly was going in there. So the builder gave a presentation, and then people had questions about the price point, who, would be coming in there, traffic, construction traffic, all sorts of things that are very, very understandable and very normal. There were people who live directly, adjacent to where the development would be.
We'll probably hear noise now for the next couple of years, and that's a concern. Yes,
and that's difficult. But we have construction in a lot of places, and sometimes, sometimes the person next to you sells their house and somebody knocks it down, and somebody comes in and builds another big house, and you have to live with that. It is. I get it. It's not pleasant, but it's also temporary. So some of the folks who were immediately adjacent to the property had some specific issues, and that's a lot of who I reached out to. And we think we've worked through a lot of those specific issues. I'm still talking with people. But as you said, I have reached out not only to people who spoke at the meeting, but also people who were there but didn't speak at the meeting. I've called other folks who, have found out about it subsequently and have called to inquire. So we've been doing a lot of due diligence and making sure we're hearing, what people's concerns are. We will have another public meeting on this topic, reconvening the zoning board on June 6th. And this time we'll have it at the high school to provide a little, more room if needed. And there'll be some capacity. The applicant, Flaherty Builders, Mike Flaherty from Flaherty Builders, will be there again. He's gone back and taken people's comments very seriously and done a lot of his due diligence to see where things can be adjusted. But I know he is confident in that price point. He did some follow-up. The firm did a lot of research to see whether that price point, and we were very much pushing for a high quality development, something we don't have in the village. This kind of, it's a niche, right? It's only 16 homes. And he was confident before the meeting that that price point can be met. And with his follow-up research that he's done, he continues to be confident. So it's 5:30, if I didn't say that, at the high school.
The meeting is at 5:30.
In the auditorium.
So all this was owned by the village. The village is going to sell it. He obviously needs to make a profit off it. This also must have some financial benefit to the village. Plus, I've noticed this when I talk to you, when I talk to the any board of trustee members that come in here, Mark Marzullo, Norm Anderson. The village seems to, from time to time, look at maybe an abandoned property like a business, or look at things that are going on in the village along 95th Street. And if it's not selling, or they don't know exactly how it's going to work out, they get a little bit more control when they purchase it, and then later find somebody to move in there. And that's something that the village has done before. There's a benefit to doing that. Then the village sees that benefit. Historically, they've done that. So what is the benefit to the village? How do you pitch this to people as this is a benefit to the village of Evergreen Park as a whole? Why? Because
we're planning for the future. And this is not a housing type that we currently have. People are aging. The baby boomers are obviously the biggest cohort, but in our village, we've got a lot of people who are on that 55 and older range. And that's really historically the group that finds townhomes, especially in suburban areas, attractive. We have plenty of people who have kids coming back and raising their kids there. And there are people who want to stay close and be part of this.
All right, Mayor Kelly Burke with that info there. It's very interesting. That project's right around the corner from my house. So that's one of the reasons why I was very curious as to what was going on. And I appreciate you sitting down and talking with me about it. If anybody has any questions, it's the meeting that's coming up in June again?
June 6th at 5:30 at the high school. But if you have questions before then, or you can't make the meeting, you can give me a call at Village Hall, 708-422-1551, and I will gladly discuss it with you. I will meet you out at the property and walk you through it so you can kind of get an idea of, what the project would look like if it is approved. Or email me at kburke@evpkadm.org.
That's awesome. You realize that you set this meeting for D-Day, right? I wonder how many people will land at your meeting coming up on June the 6th.
I don't know. That was not the first thing I thought of, Chris.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. More with the mayor in just a little bit. Sitting down here with me right now, John and Rachel Sidlow from Evergreen Park. John actually goes by the name of Sid, hence the name of his new business right here in Evergreen Park, Sid Sauce. We met you at Mayfest.
Yes, correct.
Right? We met you at Mayfest over at Blue Island Beer Company in Blue Island. And there's a little segment that's on a couple episodes ago on Southside Pod. But we're sitting down now, we're talking here on the EP podcast because you're from Evergreen Park.
Yes.
So tell me.
Can't get out of the town.
Well, here's the thing that I find amazing. What I learned about it, Rachel, maybe you tell me a little bit about this. You guys are growing peppers in your backyard here in Evergreen Park and making hot sauces.
Yes.
Now, how does that go about, and what does your backyard look like? Is it just pepper fields? Like I'm imagining like just a normal backyard in Evergreen Park, but there's fields of peppers.
It's a normal small backyard in Evergreen Park, and we just found parts of the backyard where the peppers seem to thrive. We figured out which peppers we used the most.
So it's not the entire backyard.
No.
You're not walking, you don't get up in the morning, walk out the back door and walk through your field of peppers like you're Kevin Costner.
No, but that would be the dream.
Like I imagine very tall pepper plants. How tall do pepper plants go?
Well, yeah, they could get like 5 feet.
5 feet?
I would say, yeah.
All right. Because I'm trying to imagine tall pepper plants. Okay, Rachel's walking through the pepper plants in the morning. She's got herself like, a latte or something like that. And she hears something like, if you build it, it will come. And that's what I'm imagining in the backyard in Evergreen Park. So how many different kinds of peppers do you grow? Are all of them in your backyard, or do you get some of them outsourced?
We do get some of them outsourced. What we do is we grow the most peppers that we need. Some peppers I'll actually grow at my parents' house. That's in Evergreen Park.
So your parents have a separate Evergreen Park location.
Yes, correct.
Where they have a field of peppers.
No, not a field of dream peppers. It has a couple areas.
I never knew there were so many pepper fields in Evergreen Park. Right.
You throw a couple pepper plants here and there. Like you gotta put. We're not like the. Russians invading Ukraine.
Right.
No. We'll put some peppers in some people's yards.
Right.
With them knowing about it.
Yeah, you let people know you're coming.
We pay rent.
Yes.
You pay rent.
Yeah.
The pepper plants.
You're not
pay
just
rent.
walking in telling them you're now part of Mother Russia. Right. Okay. All right. I get that. I understand it. So how many different hot sauces are you making? Again, if I didn't mention it, Sid sauce that you're making.
We do like 17 sauce, about 18 sauces, 17 of them like all year round. Like there's one that's kind of like
there's a crazy one. There's 17 sauces. There's the one that you get out of control. It's like a limited release.
Yeah. Well, just with what's in it and stuff like that.
Right.
Peaches. Yeah.
It's a peach sauce.
Yeah.
Is it hot?
Yeah, it's got a nice flavor. It is hot.
Serpenter's Cobra Peach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
a nod to G.I. Joe.
The G.I. Joe guy.
Well, that was the thing. Like I got the one that was the jalapeno, and it was Sergeant something.
Staff Sergeant Moonracer.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the green one.
And there was a little army guy attached to the top of the bottle, which my son thought was great. My 6-year-old was like, I got another army guy. And he ran off with the staff sergeant.
It's just advertising. We put the Matchbox on the one sauce. We put the army guy on the other.
Yeah.
So the kids
You
will
get a
want
toy.
the sauce. So you have to buy it so the kid gets a toy.
Right,
It's like a Happy Meal.
It's like a Cracker Jack box.
Right.
Exactly. I love it. Okay. So the one that I had, that one, the Staff Sergeant.
Yes.
What's it called?
Moonracer.
Moonracer. I love it. That one had like a jalapeno base.
Yes.
And I bought this from you. I brought it home, Cinco de Mayo, throw it on top of the enchiladas that my wife made.
Nice.
She makes everything from scratch. So this was not a kit. So like me pulling out a sauce, she gave me a look like, you're changing what I make for you. Like this was a big deal. And I popped it on the enchilada. My son, who's a big hot sauce fan, we're going to have to get him to meet you guys at some point.
Definitely.
He puts it on his. We're sitting there eating it, and I'm like, from now on, with the enchiladas, we have to have this sauce. I mean, tell me a little bit about that one, because I know a lot about it. And my thing was flavor, a little bit of heat. We made a mistake and we didn't shake it ahead of time. Okay. So after we shook it, more heat. We were laughing about that. We're like, hey, there's no heat to this. Then we shook it. We're like, oh, there's heat. We're idiots. It said shake. And then we put it on there. But tell me a little bit about that sauce.
Well, of course, shake, shake, shake. Yeah, that's the song. Well, basically, that sauce is jalapeno is in it. There's like garlic, lemon juice, lime juice. So these are like the perfect things for like anything Mexican. Like definitely.
I think that's what I told you. I was like, I wanted a hot sauce because I know a lot of them you put on wings or you put on something else, and I was like, I want something for Mexican food.
Definitely. In my family, we just call it green sauce.
Green sauce. It was solid though. I mean, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And when you describe it to me, I always think to myself, well, that must be easy. He just says, you put a little lime, you put a little lemon, you throw a little pepper in there. How difficult is it to make your own hot sauce? Because basically you've started an entire company. Right. In your backyard and then other people's backyards who you've invaded. Right. And you have them now helping you make your hot sauce. But this is interesting. I mean, this is like you probably started with like an idea to do one, and now you got 16 or 17, whatever the date is on the calendar, and you have multiple fields of peppers in people's backyards. So tell me, how hard is it to make the sauce? Like, are you sitting in the kitchen, Rachel, and you're like making these with a big giant pot? Do you come up with the recipe and have somebody produce it? How does it work?
I have to go into the other room because otherwise the fumes of hot sauce.
Right. Now I'm picturing something like Breaking Bad. Now I've got Walter White in the back of a trailer making hot sauce. That's what's in my mind.
Exactly. Exactly.
I know it depends.
Rachel's over here saying science, and that's all she's saying. Like, that's what I'm picturing at this point.
How hard it is to make the sauce depends on what the sauce is.
Okay. Grind up the crack rocks. There we go.
Exactly.
Some of the sauces, the batches, only make a limited amount. Right. Some of them it makes a lot.
How does somebody get Sid sauce?
Well, they can contact us on Facebook.
Right. You're out of Evergreen Park.
Yes.
So I can look up Sid Sauce on Facebook.
Yes.
Right. Right now you're not giving out it's not like you have a storefront. You don't want people knocking on the door.
That's the dream.
You're not giving out tours
you're not
like a winery where they let you walk through the grapes. You're not letting people walk through the peppers in the backyard yet.
No, you can't step on the peppers.
Not now. Rachel, what's your favorite here?
My favorite is Maggie the Vampire Slayer.
What makes that good? What does it taste like?
It's a garlic sauce.
Yeah, it's a garlic.
Hence the vampire thing. It's a garlic hot sauce.
It's with cayenne peppers. It's a mild version of it.
Put this on like some wings or something like that.
Oh yeah, you can marinate meats with it. You could do a lot of different things like Mexican food.
I put it on Chinese food too. Anything that has garlic in it already is really good with it.
Okay, all right.
Because we do hear a lot of strange things. What people put hot sauce on anyway.
I don't want. Listen, this is a PG show.
Sure.
Okay, we're not going to talk about all the places that people put hot sauce.
When you walk the fields and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll tell you some stories.
When I come, I want to come and walk the fields. Right, that's what I'm going to do. I liked what you gave me. I was like, come over to the bar, sit down, have a couple of beers. Let's talk about this. And now I want to walk through the fields.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sid Sauce. Check them out on Facebook. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
About midweek last week, I stopped by over at Hyatt Home Medical Equipment, an Evergreen Park business that's been around for a while, but did a big expansion, and they had their big grand reopening party, and they're still celebrating it. Customer Appreciation Week continues all this week through the 28th. If you don't know what Hyatt's all about, the whole thing is keeping you independent and in your home. People get older, people get injured. They provide everything from CPAP machines to specialized beds to railings to get in and out of the bathtub and big stuff like chair lifts and ramps outside of your home. And they're right here in Evergreen Park. They got a big showroom and they're here to help you. During this Customer Appreciation Week, if you do a home access project valued at $5,000 or more, they're taking $500 off. Lift chairs, buy one, get one 50% off. Grab bars, buy three, get one free. 25% off bathroom aids. They work with your insurance company, and they're right here whenever you have a question or problem or concern. Visit Hyatt Home Medical Equipment today, 3518 West 95th Street in Evergreen Park. It's now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, and rather than just me doing it, I might as well just have the mayor sit back down because they've got a lot of things going on here in the village she wants to talk to you about. The Word on the Street brought to you by Cool Clouds Vapor Shop, another great business here in Evergreen Park. Quitting smoking is hard. They have the options for you. A full taster bar at Cool Clouds Vapor Shop. Check them out in person at 3837 West 95th Street or visit coolcloudsvapor.com. So what do you want to feature? What's going on in the EP?
We have been working diligently to try and renovate several of our parks. The weather in the spring hasn't cooperated, so we're a little bit behind, but I'm happy to announce that we are putting the finishing touches on the renovations at Candy Cane Park on 99th Place. And so we are hoping by, knock on wood, by Memorial Day, we'll have that all ready to go. And then we are putting in a surprise small addition at Duffy Park. We're going to be putting in a Gaga pit.
What's a Gaga pit?
Well, I'd never heard of it either, Chris, until I went to Southwest School, where they have one in their, the school has one in their parking lot. And it's basically an enclosure that they play a game called Gaga, and it involves kicking the ball, but the ball never goes out because it's kind of a knee-high enclosure. I don't know the rules. I don't know anything about it, but it seems to be extremely popular.
You know, the pandemic brought about some weird games.
Yeah.
Pickleball, Gaga pits. It's getting a little
It's
weird.
all good.
Yeah.
And then after that, we'll move on to the installation of the other playgrounds we have planned, or that we have at Kennedy Park and Veterans Park. We are also doing street repaving this summer. It'll be the second half of the summer, and it will be the area 95th to 99th, Central Park to Pulaski. So people will start getting notices in their mailbox, just letting them know some of the dates, scheduled to begin mid-July.
Is that something where you notice that there's a lot of damage in one area? Is there a rotation?
Yeah,
How
there's
does
a
that happen?
rotation, and our village engineer has kind of monitored the rotation, and this was the next segment of the village on the rotation. We are switching our village hall hours. We're trying summer hours. And we will open earlier during the week, but we will close on Saturday. Memorial Day through Labor Day. We'll be open again for sure right around sticker time. And then we'll reevaluate how things go. You know, with so much, we've been able to move a lot of our functions, you know, where people can do it online. And we're in the middle of a website design. And so we're going to have even more functionality for things online. And we surveyed our surrounding towns, and we were really the only one that was open on a regular basis on Saturday. And so I think this will work well for the public with us being open, because there's always somebody standing outside Village Hall waiting for it to open in the morning.
There always were weird hours.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, like, there's like, and you can never tell. Like, sometimes it'll be like, okay, I'm going over there. Oh, wait, they're not open until noon, or like at 10 this day. And then the next time it's like, oh, they're open earlier this day, but you had the weekend hours. So yeah, I mean, I have no problem with adjusting the hours if I'm not going to show up and be like, oh man, this is the day that they all come in late. So I kind of like that.
We don't come in late. It's a timely group of people. So, like I said, this is summer hours. It's the first time we've tried this, so we're going to do it, and then we'll assess
Some are ours.
and see how it goes.
Some are
But
ours.
I think
Look,
it should
the
work
mayor
out.
wants to have Saturdays off. You can't get mad at her for that.
Exactly.
Okay? She wants her Saturday off. It's the summer, for
That's
crying
right.
out loud. Yeah.
And then I think you had Dan Doyle on to talk about
I did.
all
He's
his
doing
art
murals
projects.
and all these art projects. I kept waiting to see whether or not you were going to talk about that. He I think if it were up to this guy, he'd have a mural everywhere in Evergreen Park. Yeah.
Dan is a talented and enthusiastic guy, and he has really stepped up to offer his talents, to our youth department. He's working through the youth department with EPCHS. We were able to apply for a grant for the supplies for the mural project. So we got a grant from Walmart for $2,000. And that's going to go a long way to doing that. It's going to be up at Veterans Park. He's got kind of a veterans theme, and I know he's doing a good job of recruiting, as is EPCHS. But if anybody listening has a kid who's interested in becoming part of that project, we'd love to have them.
And you're redoing the center of 95th and Kedzie, right? Did I read that? You're going to get the tree back there in the middle?
Yeah.
Any plans to get the tree above the intersection during Christmas, or am I still the only guy holding out for that? I missed that. I missed the tree that hung over the center of Evergreen Park.
I don't remember the tree.
Oh my gosh! Somebody get the mayor a picture of the tree that used to hang over the center of 95th and Kedzie.
I'll take it under advisement. And then we have been working diligently. I have to be a little bit cryptic with this, but we have been working diligently on a tenant to fill the Carson space, and I will be saying more as the summer goes on, but keep your fingers crossed. We're very hopeful, and we're very, very confident that people are going to like what's there.
Is this one that may have come out of the economic development thing, or was this separate from that? Because you guys had that thing where people were like, what do you want in Evergreen Park?
So interesting. It did not necessarily come out of that. We've been working on it for quite some time, and the two overlapped. But as we got the results back, and that could be another fascinating discussion one day about the survey results. Spoiler alert, people want a brewery. And I'm working hard on it.
You are working hard on it, okay? Look, I know you're working. I'm about to open a brewery for you.
Yeah,
okay.
I would love a brewery, but it in the list, in the category of things that people really want, this would fulfill one of those needs. So
you're excited.
I'm excited.
I can tell you're excited. Like you want to talk about it. As soon as the microphones go off, I'm going to ask you about it. You know that, right? And then I'm going to promise not to tell anybody.
That's not how it works.
Mayor Kelly Burke down here. I appreciate you stopping by all the time, and I can't wait to talk to you again.
Thanks, Chris.
Another show is wrapped up. Another show's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. And then by the looks, it's going to be a good one. And we'll see you next week. And the nude is basement. And the nude is basement. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And it's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. Nudie's Basement. Broadcast Basement. The Nudie's Basement. The Broad Basement. Slancha.
The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the EPPodcast.com.